I happen to believe that every disaster that happens in this world is more of a test than it is a disaster. A test of empathy, a test of resources, a test for how we fight for one another. And in the case of a lot of the MAGA, and especially Donald Trump himself, they failed miserably. They failed in the worst possible ways. And they show it day by day. By now, everyone knows what's happening in California, the wildfires that are tearing apart SoCal, businesses and homes being lost, lives being lost because of wildfires raging through the Southern California area. Looking at the photos of it, just looking at these photos, it's incredibly tragic. And I spent the last few days trying to make sense of it all. But instead, I'd like to think my thoughts and prayers are helping people, not to mention the hard work and the dedication of the first responders, police, fire, and EMS that are saving lives day after day during this crisis. Thankfully, lives have been saved, but also lives have been lost. But the real tragedy to all of this, aside from the lives and the businesses being destroyed, is the lack of empathy. In the last few days, since this crisis began, I have seen nothing but complete and total disrespect from Americans, most namely the MAGA. And I hate to make this into a video about politics, but unfortunately, considering what these people have said and done, I got no choice. No choice but to expose their inhumanity in situations like this. This, of course, leads me to a post by Nick Adams. DEI-driven fire departments put Americans in danger. And obviously accompanied that photo with a woman, a heavy-set black woman with pink hair in a fireman's uniform. You find this funny. You find it funny to make jokes at a time like this when lives are being lost, businesses are being destroyed, and people are dying. You find this funny to bring out your racist bullshit agenda, Adams. And needless to say, he's not the only one. On my Facebook page, CTP Know the Truth, I have a clown who shows up every once in a while, decided to post this as a reaction to my post about Trump's remarks, and I'll get to those later, but here's what he says. The Californians are victims of the incompetent, corrupt Democratic government that they themselves elected into office. I feel bad for them to a degree. They voted them in. Now it's time for them to reap what they themselves have sown. The joke to all of this is that his rationale for these comments is about what's happening in Gaza. So because a foreign country is doing all of this, you're okay with what's happening in California? You obviously are. That idea of feeling sorry for them to a degree shows that you don't give a damn about them at all. And quite honestly, I don't have any family there, thank heavens. I don't have any businesses there. But if I did, and you said that to me, Ricky, well, let's just say that you won't be that unhappy ever again. But the lack of empathy, that shows to me that the MAGA, they are 100% evil, plain and simple. And they've proven that over the last 10 years. And now we get to the man involved in all of this, Donald Trump. The man in who less than 1 week will be inaugurated president once again. The man who should be acting as a leader is acting like a straight up fucking bully. This is what he said on Truth Social. The fires are still raging in Los Angeles. The incompetent poles have no idea how to put them out. Thousands of magnificent homes are being destroyed, and many more will soon be lost. There's death all over the place. This is the worst catastrophe in our country's history. They just can't put the fires out. What's wrong with them? Trump, you are more than welcome to go to California and fight the fires yourself. But we know that you won't, because you're nothing more than a coward and a bully. You have been all your life, and you still are now. But to make matters worse, he decided to post this, well, actually, retruth this on Truth Social. Obviously, the fires, the Hollywood Hills, and the Hollywood sign with the words, "Trump was right." You decided to retruth this, and you show absolutely no empathy for what's happening down there. Obviously, you don't give a damn, because it doesn't affect you. All it does is make you look like an asshole and a bully, just like Adolf Hitler was, just like Osama bin Laden was. The fact is, Trump, you're an evil, destructive man, and the rest of your MAGA, especially Rick, the guy whose comments I posted here, he's an evil, destructive man following your example. But you know, I truly believe that the root of all evil is a lack of empathy. None of you who don't show any kind of empathy for a disaster like this show what kind of evil people you really are, or try to justify it by using other disasters in our country's history, or around the world for that matter, to justify it. But before I close out this video, I want to go back to Ricky's comments here about saying they voted them in, now it's time for them to reap what they themselves have sown. But let me remind you of this guy real quick. The man who made these comments, he's a Trump supporter, diehard MAGA. Willing probably to die for him, most certainly willing to kill for him. So, he says that the people in California deserve to reap what they sow because they voted in for Gavin Newsom, the governor. Well, 8 years ago, this man and many more like him voted for Donald Trump. And as a result, millions of Americans died during the COVID-19 pandemic. People who didn't vote for him and people who did vote for him. Now, the people who voted for him, obviously, they deserve to reap what they sowed because they voted for Donald Trump. I'm just using his logic. I'm not being a smartass or an evil person. I'm using his logic. I have no doubt that he voted for him in this election in 2024. So, does he and the rest of the MAGA deserve to reap what they sow when Trump takes office and gets more Americans killed in something that he will be fully responsible for, just like in 2020? Because we all know that's going to happen. We all know Trump wants to finish the job of destroying this country for profit. But the response I will give to this Rick and so many others in the MAGA is, you reap what you sow. And I will not cry about that one bit. Because you put yourselves through this hell. The only people I feel sorry for are the people who didn't choose this, who voted against Trump, who know what kind of monster he is. And the people like you, Rick, people like you, Nick Adams, and people like Donald Trump and his supporters will reap what they sow. And you put yourselves through it. And I will not cry for it because you sacrificed your souls for Donald Trump. What's happening in California and your complete lack of empathy towards it is the perfect example as to why I won't cry about it. When you reap what you sow. And I already know that Rick is going to threaten me with lawsuits, blah, 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 yak, yak, yak. Bring it on, asshole. Because you're the one who put yourself in that spot by posting this shit. Bring it on. Because I already know I'm a dead man walking when Donald Trump takes power again. You sickos will rip this country apart. You've already thoroughly convinced me that you will kill your own families for Donald Trump. But it's okay. In your mind, as long as Donald Trump is in office, this country can burn to cinders. Those wildfires in California, they can spread throughout the country and you wouldn't care. But as long as Donald Trump is in office, sad. Really sad. But that's when you get when you deal with people who have a lack of empathy and no soul. Things like this happen and no one cares. As long as they follow the orders of their master, Donald Trump. CTP, know the truth. God bless. Peace to the left, justice to the right.